On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, is it really an off-season, Kyle, if the rumor mill is not spinning? And right now it's spinning around Marty Necas. Let's talk about that in a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli, with me as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. It's always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related. Share it on this very podcast, which we will do when we get to the season grade of Artturi Lehkonen. I'll hold my comments on that until we get to it, but I think you're going to be disappointed in me. So we'll get to that. First of all, don't hate on the jersey. I know you're shaking your head over there.
I can't look at you.
First of all, I just want to make it clear that this is a Gretzky jersey. So this is not I know you probably see the C and maybe a 9 on the side, but it's not a McDavid jersey. Like, this is a Gretzky jersey. Gretzky's
that's your bed sheets.
It is. No, man, you gotta go Canada. So I'm going Canada. You're just gonna have to deal with it.
Oh, I'm pulling for the Panthers in this. So
I don't know why. Why?
Erod, I like their team.
Oh, come on, you can't be that attached to Erod. He was here for a year.
But I mean, it's more of I dislike Florida less. I cannot stand Evander Kane, the Edmonton fans. No, thank you.
I individual players, I get it. I'm just looking at it from a team perspective. So, so we got game 1 going on Wednesday. So tune into that. Make sure the ratings are up because that looks good for everybody. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode, how that game 1 goes. But where we want to start, before we get to the Marty Necas thing, real quickly, got to give a shout out to Logan O'Connor here for receiving a vote, albeit a third place vote, for the Selke Trophy voting. Barkov won that running away. He will probably win that for the next decade. But when you have a fourth liner, a depth guy, a third liner sometimes, it's bottom 6 guy, we'll say, get a third place vote, tied with his teammate Nathan MacKinnon, who got a third place vote, tied 29th overall. I think that deserves a golf clap from the Avalanche community. So congratulations, Logan O'Connor. That, I think, for someone like him, someone like Nathan MacKinnon, it's like whatever, not that big of a deal. I think for someone like Logan O'Connor, pretty big deal.
Yeah, and when you go to look at who voted for it, it was probably somebody named like Brogan O'Stonner. It's like it's Logan O'Connor with like a fake mustache, gassing his own ballot.
Yeah, it probably was a Denver area writer throwing him a bone. But I think it's deserving. I think that third place vote is deserved.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And not only did he tie Nathan MacKinnon, he beat out Sidney Crosby, who had a fourth place vote. 5 points for Logan O'Connor, 3 for Sidney Crosby. So come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Sidney Crosby, you got to do better, man.
Come to the Avalanche and he'll do much better. Oh. So let's move on from that and let's get to the Marty Necas stuff, because Kyle, I get it. It's the off season and there's got to be some headlines, and I'm not saying there's zero truth to this, because maybe there is a small percentage truth to this, but when things like this just get out there, there's sometimes like it just a story will get taken and run with by the fan base in particular, and that seems to be happening here with Marty Necas. So Nick Kyprios from Kipper and Born put up on his blog where he wrote about a bunch of players, wrote about Marty Necas. And it's a quick, just two paragraph kind of insert there. But on the second paragraph, he says, after the Avalanche move Rantanen because of how difficult they perceived contract extension talks to be going, how much patience will they have with Necas? Not a homegrown player or superstar talent. If negotiations on an extension start slowly this July, there was a sense Necas wasn't overly thrilled with his experience in Colorado and that he wants to explore his options. That's a whole lot of ifs to me, for, you know what I mean? Like, because they're saying like, oh, the Rantanen deal, they didn't like how that was going. So is that how the Necas deal is going to go? That's just making an assumption there that because they struggled to come to a contract agreement with Mikko, that automatically they're going to have a contract struggle with Necas. And then on top of it, you're throwing out there is a sense that Necas wasn't overly thrilled with his experience. Well, where are you getting that from? I feel like you need some more meat on the bone here in terms of if you're going to throw that out there. I'm not saying like give up your sources or anything like that, but why? How did you come to that conclusion? Where did you hear that from? That he might not have really enjoyed his or overly thrilled with his experience in Colorado. What is your take on all this stuff?
All right, it's a tangled web, and I'm glad this guy was able to put this blog up through all the clown paint, because like I went to sportscasting like college with like this is what I have experience in. And when it comes to reporting, even if it's in a blog sense, to put out something that frivolous, like even though it's not like a huge scandalous take, but just to imply that kind of attitude towards an organization unsubstantiated is interesting in my opinion. Like, at least say I have sources close to, or I've heard from, like, just to say there is a sense. Guess what? Nobody was happy with Colorado's season last year and how it ended. I don't think Necas is alone in that. Nathan MacKinnon probably is not happy with last year either.
Right.
Jared Bednar, ask anyone. There's not a single Avalanche member who is happy with last year. But to say he wasn't overly happy and looking to go elsewhere is kind of silly.
Explore options is how.
Yeah, like explore options. That's what was being said about Brock Nelson. And now it's, oh, they're looking at putting a deal back together and trying to bring it back. Like, it's the offseason. I understand. It's not a lot going on if it has nothing to do with your team. But to say something like this, I do not like it at all.
But why does it have to be he wasn't thrilled and is exploring options? Why can't it just be he's exploring options? No. Like, he has that right to do that. But why does it always why do those things have to go hand in hand? Why does it always have to be like he's exploring options because he's unhappy? It just could be he's at the point of his career where he's going to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time and he wants to explore options. I would have no problem with that. But it's got to be those two things together all the time. He's exploring options because he doesn't like where he's at right now. And I'm not saying like that's not 100% the case, because we don't know. We haven't heard really anything good or bad coming out of the Avalanche camp or the Necas camp. And you would kind of know that. I feel like you would kind of have a sense of him being unhappy. And what you said, I think, is right. I don't think anybody's happy with how the season ended. I wouldn't just then kind of backpedal on that and say like, well, that means he was just unhappy with his entire time with the Avalanche, because when he came here, he did a darn good job. I think he likes how the team operates. I think it fits his style a little bit better than it did in Carolina. But still, even having said all that, if he wants to go explore options, let him go explore options, because he's earned that right at that point in time. But don't just automatically say he's going to go explore options because he didn't like his time in Colorado. I'm not buying that part of it yet right now anyway.
And see, that goes in the same camp, and we'll talk about this more in just a minute. But like Mikko Rantanen, that quote that ran for a couple of days of he wanted to be traded to Dallas to run it down the throat of Colorado.
Exactly.
Did Mikko ever say that? No.
No.
It was a quote that was made unbased. It was frivolous, and it was a quote that everybody latched onto, hit a retweet button, said, "See, I'm glad." Blah blah. No. the same thing with this. Anything that happens from here on forward with Necas, everyone now has this quote bookmarked.
Right.
And if it's they haven't reached a contract. Well, see, back here they said he was not thrilled with. It's silly. It's ridiculous, and that's kind of how journalism is starting to go a little bit. And I'm not a big fan of it at all. But
yeah,
there's no need for it. Like, I understand you want to get your blog some clicks. Congratulations, you did it. Heck, we're talking about it right now. But that's like, we watched all 82 games. We watched the playoffs. We see the body language. I did not see a disgruntled, angry, disconnected Necas any point. Like,
right.
So I don't understand where this is coming from.
I like Kyprios. Like, I like their show. I watch it all the time. Like, I think it's an entertaining and funny show. It's light. But they can get like stuff like this. It's Canadian heavy, which is fine. And I don't have a problem with the show, but I do feel like sometimes he goes for shock value. And he did that with the Mikko thing. The Mikko thing to me was ridiculous. How he's saying, like, I want to go to Dallas to shut. He didn't say that. He didn't say that, number one, because he didn't have a choice. He didn't have a choice to go to Dallas. That was Carolina saying, we're going to send you there. Sure, maybe had a modified no trade, but it wasn't, he wasn't saying that stuff. And when you say that, and that, that's kind of like the spit and chicklets, we're just going to say things like bombastically. They're not to that level. I'm not saying that, but when you make comments like that, people pick up on it. And it's happening with the Necas one right now. Now, I'm not saying that, are the Avalanche maybe even exploring a trade to ship Martin Necas out? I think anything is on the table for the Avalanche right now. If your name is not Cale Makar or Nathan MacKinnon, anything, I think they would listen to any and everything. But I do think I don't think they want to turn around this quickly and get rid of him. Now, he also says, what was it? Like, if things aren't moving along by like July, why does it have to be July? Like, why does it have to be, we've seen how many times the Avalanche sign extensions in the season. And you said yourself, he's not a superstar player. So then why does he need an extension right now? If he's not a super, like, though, you want extensions done for guys like Mikko Rantanen, for Nathan MacKinnon, how they did it with him. For Cale Makar, it's going to happen with him. But if he's not a superstar player, what is the rush? Like, I don't understand how you can say, like, oh, he's not homegrown or superstar, but if they don't get things done in July, he's going to want out. I think for the Avalanche, it will be, if they do feel like he wants too much, and I don't know what too much is for him, because, $9 million this year is $10 million next year with the cap going up. And is he that high of a player? I mean, for what the cap was last year, no. For what the cap is next year, is he a double-digit salary cap guy? No. But that's where I think the impasse will be, is during the season. If they feel again that they can't sign him, we might have Mikko Rantanen, to a lesser extent, version 2.0, where they have to ship him out to get something for him. But it's not going to be right now.
Yeah, and like, I'm not buying into this yet, because this narrative is now just being created off this clown's take. Like,
I don't want to call him a clown. He's good, man. He is good. He's got experience. He's played in the league.
Hold on. I get what you're saying, but this is now, like, to create this kind of narrative. Like, it's he could be what you're saying, but fundamentally, it's flawed.
It's bad,
because now you're creating this conversation where there wasn't one, where Necas is getting ready to enjoy his summer, and now he turns around and, why am I being compared to? Why am I not a homegrown talent superstar? How did the Avalanche handle that? Well, stick around. We have a grade to get to. Like, it's kind of silly, and it creates conversation in the offseason. I get it. But if you're going to have that kind of platform, you don't need to be doing that kind of stuff. Like, it's just, like this Necas conversation, like talking about moving him and what the contract could be, like this is not a conversation that anybody has been talking about. It's been alluded to until the sense of him not being thrilled with his season. Like I'm not buying into any of that right now. Because honestly, up until this silly little comment, it was he's fitting in well.
Right.
I like what he could do, and I can't wait for another camp. And this guy had to have a bullet point for his blog. Congratulations.
That's the weird part about it. It just seemed like it came from nowhere. He just I'm getting a sense of this, so I'm gonna write about it, which is not really. And hey, maybe he knows something we don't. But again, like they are a Canadian heavy show. So, and I'm not saying like he's not dialed in and has sources with American teams, but just seems like a weird one to go after with not a lot of legs to support it. But maybe we're wrong. So we did mention Mikko a couple times there. So we want to kind of revisit that. And now that the dust has settled and both teams are eliminated, who's in better shape, we would say, going forward, the Stars or the Avalanche when it comes to Mikko Rantanen and all those dealings. So we'll cover that after this. Let's hear from Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. So get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. All right. So, yes, it's been well documented, Mikko Rantanen trade. And now that, like I said, the Stars were eliminated, obviously. They eliminated the Avalanche. So now that's like, Mikko Rantanen season 1 post trade done. And we figured like we'd take a look, not so much back, but forward and how things are shaping up for each of those teams. And yes, the Stars got the player. The Avs had to get rid of them to make moves that we haven't seen yet. So who do you feel is like in a better position right now, post-trade, post-season, after everything has been settled with Mikko Rantanen?
And I bring this up because up until Dallas was eliminated, I felt like Colorado might be the loser when it comes to this trade. I understand the financial. I get it. But when it comes to talent, I felt like the Avs might be kind of taking a step back from the talent department. But the Dallas Stars signed Mikko Rantanen. He's theirs. He's there. He's going to be there for a while, and they're paying him handsomely to be there a while. But not only did the Dallas Stars get eliminated, the manner they did, to where the blame game publicly in the public forum on your goaltender.
It's ugly.
It's extremely ugly. And that going on, Mikko, he had incredible. Hey, I read the comments. Thank you, everyone, for telling me everything that Mikko Rantanen has done since his time in Colorado. Every comment of he had these many points, this many. It got really quiet towards the end, didn't it?
Sure did. You got the full experience of Mikko Rantanen, Dallas Stars fans.
And I think the Dallas Stars are going to kind of go through what the Avalanche did for a while. Like, yes, we love Mikko Rantanen. We love what he brought.
Sure.
But there's so many times that we got to focus on Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon, other things when Mikko was loudly quiet.
Mm-hmm.
We got to ignore that. You don't know what this team for Dallas is going to look like with the moves that they have to make this offseason because something's not working. They keep getting there, but it's not enough. The head coach is calling out the goalie. The goalie was the best part of the team for a good chunk of the end of the regular season, big times in the playoffs, and now there's a discourse there. It's an interesting situation that Mikko Rantanen now lives in, and this is his team. And now the fans are going to be expecting Mikko Rantanen to play on another level. And Mikko can do that, but relying on that is another thing. So I feel like it's leveled off. Yes, the Avs have a lot of work to do, but the Dallas Stars have a lot of work to do with Mikko Rantanen's contract now sitting there. And I wonder if Mikko is happy where he's sitting as well, because it was kind of a more stable situation in Colorado, and you thought it was contender status, and now you see all of this fallout at the end, which is just an ugly look. You don't really see that a lot in the game of hockey. You see it like in baseball, you see it a couple times in basketball. But for a head coach to call out a goalie and his performance for why he pulled a goalie, or it was just a weird look. So Mikko, he's in for an interesting ride for the rest of this.
Did the Dallas Stars not do exactly what the Colorado Avalanche did in going really all in with making moves throughout the season? A huge blockbuster trade to bring in Mikko Rantanen. You went all in and you lost. So, I mean, the people are looking at the Avalanche season as a failure. Fine. If you want to say that, that's sure. I wouldn't disagree with that. Is the Dallas season not the same? I mean, you didn't make the cup. I think at the minimum, when you go as teams like the Avalanche and Dallas did, you at least have to make the Stanley Cup final for it to be deemed somewhat of a success. And now look at, if you're talking about who's in better shape, I know people don't want to hear this, but it's the whole reason why the Avalanche got rid of Mikko Rantanen was to put themselves in good shape. Look at where Dallas is right now when it comes to this offseason and cap space. They have none. If it wasn't for Tampa signing Yanni Gourde, that put them now at the top of least amount of space. Before that deal, it was Dallas. They had just under $5 million to spend and 7 guys to sign to get to roster. They have 16 out of 23 roster spots filled. That's not good. And what do you hear? Like, we're talking about the rumor mill already firing up. What are you hearing of someone who could be on the trade block? Jason Robertson.
Yep.
Do you really think Dallas Stars want to trade Jason Robertson? No. But this is the kind of cap hell that they have put themselves in, of which I do not feel bad for them. And this is exactly like, people watch Dallas this offseason. Watch the cap gymnastics that they have to do this offseason, and then say, okay, I'm glad I'm sad we had to get rid of Mikko, but I'm glad that's not us this offseason. You have no movement for anything. And if you do, you have to get rid of somebody like Jason Robertson, which is nobody wants to do that, but they might have to.
And after DeBoer's comments, that really modifies a lot of trade clauses when it comes to trades and moves, because, hey, you want to go to Dallas? And you saw DeBoer calling out Ottinger, and you're like, you know what? Maybe not. I don't think that's an environment I want to go to. Shop me around. That's the kind of things that we take Jared Bednar for granted for, where he's such a player's coach. He doesn't ruffle the feathers of the rest of the league, where you get guys like Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson, who shot down Winnipeg, President's Trophy winners, decided to come to Colorado. When your head coach is calling out your goalie publicly after a playoff exit, as a player, what makes me want to go there and feel like, if I'm not giving 100%, am I going to be the next clip, the next excuse, the next soundbite?
Right.
That's fine. I'm going to go to Boston. I'm going to go somewhere else. Dallas needs to figure things out on their own. So it's a very interesting situation.
And oh, by the way, tax-free state. We're not talking about that, though. Everyone's saying that it's in Florida. Well, it works in Dallas too, but they don't have the money. You can't go there. So if you want to talk who's in better shape, it's the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sorry, but they are, because and look who Dallas is losing this offseason, or there are free agents. Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene, Dadonov, Granlund, who they brought in. That's their forwards. Cody Ceci. So, big names that were on expiring contracts that they did the right thing. They brought in, and you had money retained. But now you have to deal with the aftermath of it. And if you win, doesn't matter. Okay, we'll go into this offseason and we'll figure out how to put a team together, but we're the defending champs. And I think 99% of the people would love that. When you don't, and you have nothing to show for it, this is what happens. And I'm just happy the Avalanche are not in that position. They're not in a incredible position, but they're in a much better position because they have most of their top guys signed. And yes, they don't have I think it was just under $9 million in cap space. But they can, the amount of guys they need to sign, they can do that. And they can make a couple deals here and there and open up a little bit more space, just like Dallas almost has to do. And so again, to go back to the initial question of what you were posing, I do. I think the Avalanche are in a better position even without Mikko Rantanen. That's why they did that move.
And the dollars matter because this also went just in the Central. The Parise Suter contracts fall off the books for Minnesota this year. So now they are back in the game. Where we kind of discounted them and said, they still have to pay for those contracts. They're limited on what they could do. That's over. So now the Central it changes a little bit.
It could. And they could get creative. We'll see what they do. But not to go back to Kyprios, the guy that you love so much. They had Elliot Friedman on. I think it was on like yesterday's episode. And they were talking about Mitch Marner on places he could go. And Kipper throws out, he's like, I'm going to throw a sleeper out to you, Dallas Stars. And I'm like, where? How are you going to do that? Yeah, like when he said that, I was like, they're not Vegas, dude. Like they just
that's a sleeper, all right. You got me.
So I thought that I almost like jumped out of my chair when he said that. Like I have no idea how they would make that work, but whatever. So it like how we say, I mean, it's interesting off season for everybody, right? It's fun off season, but for the Avalanche should be fun. I'm gonna corner my eye. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on Dallas here.
Yep.
Because they got to somehow put a team together with just minimal money. So who is on the way out is going to be kind of an exciting thing to watch from the outside looking in. If it is Jason Robertson, adios. And I like Jason Robertson. I really do. And it's weird saying that being on a Dallas Stars team. He's a fun player to watch. You get him out of the Central, that benefits every other team in the Central. Good Lord.
Do they like Sam Girard?
I don't think they would.
Good old sign and trade.
Oof, I don't know. I mean, that right now, that's like Yankees and Red Sox making a deal. So I don't think that would happen. But all right, comment away on that. One more thing that we got to do, and that is give a season grade to Mr. Artturi Lehkonen. So we will do that coming up next. As we continue with our season grades, like we do every off season, and we do them alphabetically, we're up to L, and that is Artturi Lehkonen, one of the crowd favorites in Avalanche world. Let me get his stats up here for the season. Here we go. 69 games played.
Nice.
27 goals, 18 assists for 45 points, a plus 36. That far and away led the team. And the other big thing on his resume for this year is game-winning goals, which led the team. He had 5 of those, and his shooting percentage, phenomenal at 18.2%. So what do you got for Artturi Lehkonen and a grade?
I don't know how this fares amongst everyone else, but I have him kind of sitting a B+.
Okay.
I would like you keep hoping that Lehkonen finds that other gear, and like he was snake bitten in the playoffs. I get it, he had for like 4 points, but could not find the net. And you're
well in the playoffs he had he had that weird bizarre goal, but he had 3 goals in these playoffs. He had 3 goals in it, like there was a quiet 3 goals, but he had 3 goals. Yeah.
And there's always this hope, because when Lehkonen is hot. He is right up there.
Yep.
Like, put him on that top line, pair him with Nathan MacKinnon, get out of the way of the rest of the league. But there's that moment that he's just trying to find his game again. It's almost like 51st dates, and he's having to relearn every day.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Lecky. I think he's great. I just want to see a little bit more stability out of the scoring.
So up until now, I feel like I've been pretty lenient with grades. We've done a good amount of depth guys so far, and I've liked how the depth guys have played. And I feel like this is the first grade where I'm being a little difficult.
Ooh.
So let me bring up the graphic here on the YouTube. There you go.
Ooh.
I went straight B.
It's not bad.
Not that that's terrible.
I don't hate you for it, Chris.
Right. I mean, I'm not going to give the guy, like, I'm not going to,
D
go down. You're right. No, like that's not like his game. But I feel like because we are like so in love with Artturi Lehkonen, we kind of like will let the problems will just kind of like put clouds in front of our eyes and just bypass them. And then you look at like all the other grades here, subtext, Instagram, X, YouTube, and Threads all gave him an A.
Yeah.
Now they were close. It was close between A's and B's. But A's won out for them. For you and I, we're in the B range. I'm in a flat B. And mainly because like when you were on a top line,
yeah,
and like you got to be a little bit more consistent for me.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're playing with Nathan MacKinnon. So 45 points in 69 games. I'm sorry, it's just not where I think he should be.
You're right.
Like, I think he's got to be more. You got to be close to a point per game. You do, and that's like 0.65. I don't know. I'll break out my calculator here in a minute, but that's less than Jonathan Drouin.
And that's his second highest point total in his career.
It is like it's not horrible, but when you're getting top line minutes, you got to have more than 45 points in a season when you play 69 games. So you didn't miss a ton of games. And the year before, well, actually 2 years before, in 22-23, he played 64 games and had 51 points.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more like it. But for this man, like his last 16 games of the season didn't score a goal.
Yeah.
That's not good enough for me. That's just not. And I love Artturi Lehkonen. I love him just like everybody else does. One of my favorite guys on the team. But I can't let that cloud the judgment. And we saw it, like he was snake bitten.
Yeah.
And he had pucks go off posts and I get all that stuff. But if you're driving a team on a top line, you got to figure out a way to get some in the net. And you can't go 16 games without a goal. You just can't. I think in the last month, from March and left of April, for the month and a half, he had 3 goals. That's not good enough. Everything else about him, absolutely love it.
No, and like I completely agree with your grade, because every other grade we've been kind of giving up to this point has been depth talent. So we've been excusing a lot because you're playing to your role. Mm-hmm. With Lehkonen, you're top line. And we joke all the time, like if you're on that top line, me and you could get 2 points a night with Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar on our line.
Right.
And you've got to really be trying not to be a point per night guy on that top line. And if you're not getting it, something's up. And we excuse like the good stick Lucky. He's scoring crazy goals. He's always making goofy little plays, which is great.
Yeah.
But you're on the top line, so we expect a little bit more. That's why you gave him a B, deservedly so. I gave him B plus because he does, when he shines, he shines.
Yes.
But the inconsistencies ground him. And you also you're on top line. Like if you are on the second line, I would agree with the rest of the socials. A. Mm-hmm. Second line, third line, A plus. But this is top line.
Yeah.
You need to be a little bit better.
I mean, at 27 goals, that's good. That's really good. But again, you keep going back to you're on a line with Nathan MacKinnon. You're feeding him the puck, and you could only.
And he's a 100-point guy.
Yeah,
only manage. So where's those touches coming from?
Right. I mean, I know MacKinnon gets a lot on the power play and stuff, but still, I don't want this. I don't want people to think like, oh, you're so down on Lehkonen. No, I just expect more from him, and because I know he can give you more.
Yep.
Exactly. So, I had a couple comments from subtext over here. Christina says, "I love Lecky. He's always manages to find a way to score a goal off a skate while falling on his knees. He just always seems to score in the weirdest ways, and I'm here for it. Plus being the 4th Avs player ever to lead in plus minus and game-winning goals in a season. I guess you could say he's doing pretty well." Yeah. I think he's doing pretty well. I think he could do a lot better.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got Kay. Again, starts it off. I love Lecky, but I feel like he had a pretty quiet and unremarkable season. And I was thinking, C. Then I looked up his stats. He had 27 goals, 45 points, 69 games, and 3 goals in 7 playoff games. The man is the definition of, quote, "Don't mind me. I'll just be over here busting my butt, doing my job without drawing attention to myself. One of the best trades this team has ever made." I will back that up.
Yep.
And say this is one of the best teams they've ever made. She gave him an A, by the way. But you threw out his stats, which don't really wow me as much as they should. So I can't go the A route.
Yeah, and best trade in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question about that. Save for the Duchesne trade. Well, what year did that happen? I don't remember what year that happened. Save for the Duchesne trade. Next to the Duchesne trade in the last 10, 15 years, that trade's got to be number 1. Lehkonen's probably number 2.
Yeah. And these numbers can be so much better. And that's the thing. That's what makes this grade so rough, because he can give you more.
Mm-hmm.
And on that top line, he should give you more. And when you look at that stat line, you're not getting what you really need for that top line.
Yeah. And then finally, Mayor Charles piped in here. He gave him a C. That's harsh.
I appreciate the bravery, Mayor.
He said, I love Lecky, but he was snake bit for most of the year, but he will bounce back.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Yeah. I think I agree with that part of it too.
All these moves that we're talking about, no matter what segment, whatever conversation we're having about moves, trades, the rest of the league, Arturi Lehkonen is not a name we ever bring up as a trade piece.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're talking about our grades and what we expect and what you should get. We're not saying, oh, he's broken, deal him. No. There is so much more value and worth there that he hasn't tapped into yet. He stays.
Yep.
We're talking about Drouin. You can have him. Sam Girard, sure. Manson. You're naming all these other players that you could throw out at any time. Lehkonen, you never will utter that phrase.
Well, I said in the beginning of the episode, if your name's not McCarr or MacKinnon, it's on the table. I would say, yeah, that's true for Lehkonen. If there is some just unbelievable deal, he's not untouchable, but he is maybe in that next tier. He's in that tier of highly unlikely that they would have a need to move him.
I consider him a core player.
Yeah. He's that. Yeah. I mean, he's there. He's got that ability. He's right there. I don't know.
With the absence of Mikko Rantanen, you got Nate, Gabe, Lecky, Kale, Taze.
Mm-hmm.
That's your core.
Yeah. It's a good conversation. So maybe for another day. We'll table that one for now. So, all right, everyone, that is going to wrap it up for today. Fire away in the comment section, join our subtext, and we'll chat with you guys over there. So we'll be back tomorrow discussing anything going on in Avalanche Nation. We'll do that tomorrow. But for today, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where you have made it through another 24 hours. We're Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche. Go Oilers.
Oh, stop.